The West Virginia Mountaineers continue their role in recruiting in the 2024 class as they've added two players in consecutive days, back-to-back, one on the offensive line, one on the defensive line. Both of these guys are high-end prospects, and we're going to discuss those players on the other side of the intro on this episode of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football.
This is for Cameron.
What is up, guys? Welcome back and welcome in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. You have landed yourself here again at Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. And here we go again, guys. This has been a heck of a week. Neil Brown and staff have really been putting the work in on the recruiting trail, and it's been showing up in big, big ways. As they say, you can't win without being good on the lines of scrimmage, and that's where head coach Neil Brown, Shadon Brown, and defensive line coach A.J. Jackson, along with defensive coordinator Jordan Leslie, have identified early in the 24 recruiting cycle they want to attack. Let's get into some of these players we're talking about. I'm going to be using from Rivals, Keenan Cummings, and some articles he's written on both of these players from WestVirginiaSports.com, as I feel like Keenan does an excellent job of breaking these players down, while also keeping it pretty succinct within his article. The first player we're going to be talking about today is Kyle Altooner, the only Maryland product. Good counsel, 2024 center Kyle Altooner was one of the primary targets for West Virginia up front, and the Mountaineers have won the battle for his services. Altooner, 6'3", 284 pounds, had trimmed his long list of suitors down to West Virginia, North Carolina State, and Boston College. He'd scheduled official visits to each of those, but elected to end his recruitment with his commitment. He has also received scholarships from Florida State, Miami, Michigan, Notre Dame, Penn State, Tennessee, Michigan State, Pittsburgh, Kansas, and Louisville. Guys, if that doesn't tell you right there, the list of suitors for this kid are as elite as you can possibly ask for. If that doesn't tell you how good of a player he is, I don't know what will. The article goes on to say, Altooner first received an offer from West Virginia in the winter, but moved onto the radar for the program well before that, after a strong camp performance last summer. From that point, the Rivals.com three-star prospect was a key target for lead recruiter Shadon Brown and position coach Matt Moore as an interior lineman. Altooner was on campus for junior day and then returned to the annual Gold Blue game as he developed a good bond with the coaching staff. I'm not going to lie, guys. I haven't been this fired up about an offensive lineman coming to West Virginia since I watched Zach Frazier's film, back 4 or 5 years ago now. Very similar players on tape in high school as far as how they go about their business on the football field. Nasty, great feet. When they lock up and when they get their hands on somebody, they usually go for a ride. Some of the same attributes as Zach Frazier. I know those are lofty shoes for Kyle to have to fill, but that's the comparison I'm drawing here, and the staff is targeting him, although a left tackle in high school, as a center in college or an interior player at the very least. And that usually means you've got to have a big brain, like Pat McAfee would say. You got to have a big brain, to play center in the league or at college. And he very rarely misses an assignment, at least on film. And when watching film on somebody, make sure to always try to get the positives and negatives if you can. This kid has very few negatives. Sometimes he comes off with his head down. Sometimes he comes off standing up a little bit straight. Outside of his get-off, there are very few things to point out with this player as an offensive lineman. I'm surprised he's not rated higher. I don't know the reasons for that. Star ratings always confuse me. Tape I watch on some of these kids, I think it has to do with competition sometimes. Maryland's not exactly a football powerhouse in the state, while not bad. They're somewhere in the middle of the pack, and some will fault that as a reason as to not maybe raise them a little higher on the list. So guys, I would tell you right now to be extremely excited about the possibilities with this kid. Extremely high upside, great size and ability. And he's a kid I think is going to play early and has the potential to be one of those freshman All-American that West Virginia has been so good at having here these past few years with guys like Wyatt Milam and Zach Frazier. I want to forget about Tomas Remak as well. Okay, guys, so that's been the breakdown of Kinsler. West Virginia was able to today, about an hour ago, secure another commitment, this time on the defensive side of the ball. This is a kid that's going to play all along the defensive line. I think they're targeting him specifically at defensive end. We're talking about Elijah Kinsler, guys, another three-star kid. This kid is another kid I was impressed with on tape, but let's see what Keenan had to say on the subject. For Oradell, New Jersey, Bergen Catholic 2024 defensive end Elijah Kinsler and the talented defensive lineman jumped into the mix with a commitment. Kinsler at 6'3", 248 pounds, also collected offers from Miami, Pittsburgh, Louisville, Boston College, Purdue, Syracuse, Connecticut, and a number of others prior to selecting the Mountaineers. The Garden State defensive end has been on the West Virginia radar for quite some time and previously visited campus in the spring for an unofficial stop. However, his recruitment really ramped up when he took his official to the campus during the June 2nd weekend. He's coming off a season here where he rolled up 47 tackles, 11.5 tackles for loss, and 5.5 sacks during his junior season. Defensive line coach A.J. Jackson served as the lead recruiter for Kinsler, and the connection was critical as well in the decision-making process as he cultivated a great bond between the future position coach. Kinsler had originally intended to take an official to Syracuse, but canceled the trip. Overall, Kinsler is the sixth commitment for West Virginia in the 2024 class and represents the third along the defensive line. In Flowers, defensive end, Obina Onwuka, and Camden, New Jersey, defensive tackle Richard Wink James. First thing that jumps out on tape when you watch Kinsler, obviously his size. 6'4", 248 pounds is a big defensive lineman in high school. It is an undersized one in college. So he is going to have – he'll probably be a redshirt kid. I don't foresee him playing early his first year. I think he'll probably have to take a year, build some strength up, learn the playbook, learn some new positions. He's probably going to play all along the defensive front. With a 6'4" frame, you can play defensive end, you can play inside defensive tackle. And you know, West Virginia kind of prides themselves on having players that can move around and all. The second thing that jumps out when you watch Kinsler is motor. This guy goes and goes and goes. He has chased down tackles. He chases down players from behind. He's got good speed for a kid his size. Love to see him develop some more pass rushing moves, but that's something that will come with time. Up until now, he's usually relied on his brute strength, which he does have in spades. Once he gets around somebody, they're usually beat. He's not exact what you would call a speed rusher. He is a bull rusher, and he likes to, coming off that right side, he likes to drive that left arm into people and use it for leverage as he leverages his way around corners. And that's something I really enjoyed watching when watching him. Kind of reminds me of myself back in the day trying to be all I could be as a defensive end. Obviously, that didn't work out for me. Let's hope it works out for Kinsler in this case. He hasn't developed much beyond a bull rush, at least from what I've seen on tape. He does, however, from time to time stunt inside and out with his teammates. So they've done that at the high school level. It's not something you see a ton. Well, a lot of prep schools will do it and stuff like that, more intricate blitzes and things, but you don't normally see it in public schools. So really interesting to see that they were doing that. But overall, a ton of upside for this kid. This is a kid that can, in a year to 2 years, be somebody that's a Sean Martin type player. I think that's the mold, the type of player that they want for the defensive line. Players that can also set the edge against the run, that can also pass rush a little bit. Remember, in this defense, the bandits and spears and things like that really do a lot of the pass rushing. not really asking the defensive lineman to do as much with that. Guys, if you like this content, please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to drop a comment below. And last but not least, guys, let's feed that algorithm. Like the video. Would really appreciate that. Don't forget to have your notifications on so that when news drops, you know Mountaineer Paul is on top of that. Share this video, guys. Please do that for me. Share the video. Get me out there a little bit more, guys. We're trying to grow this thing into something West Virginia can be proud of. We're all a part of it. We're all in it together. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football, guys. Thank you for watching. This episode is over, and I'm out.
This is for Cameron. Kill. Oh.